All right, everybody. I hope everybody is doing fantastic today. We are back again with another session here. I'm going to shake things up a little bit today. I've got a warm up and some drills that I want to show everybody. But today I thought I would come up with a bunch of cut-ups and start engaging some of the quarterbacks and receivers in the group. So I am actually going to be calling on people today to answer some questions and to give their insight. So quarterbacks, make sure your microphones are working. Receivers, make sure your microphones are working. I'm going to be calling on you as we go. We are just about 2 days away from phase one of Alberta opening up some of the restrictions when it comes to restaurants and when it comes to hair salons and stuff like that. That's important for us football players because if phase one goes well, phase two will happen. And when phase two happens, phase three will happen. And that's when we can get back out on the field. So reminder to everybody to stay safe, make sure they're practicing social distancing and all that because I want to get going in September, and I know all of you do too. So with that being said, let's hop into our warm-up today. So let's start with the PowerPoint here. So today we're gonna go through some receiver drills I found, and then some quarterback Q&A, and then questions that you guys have. The quarterback receiver Q&A is going to be me asking you questions. I'm going to invite one player at a time to have a look at the play and analyze it and tell me what's going on and answer some questions that I have. So it's going to be a fun, interactive day. First thing I want to talk about is pre-practice. Again, when I talk about pre-practice, this is on your own. Get out, practice 15 minutes early, work on a skill, be responsible for your own development. So this is called the snap down drills. So we're going to set up five cones about a yard apart in a line, and we're going to shuffle to the space in between and simulate the start of a cut. What I mean by a start of a cut is when we plant our foot, rip our elbow. You know, we're really looking to get our head over our feet here and focus on not changing levels. So again, this is at your own pace. Oh, this is the wrong team. I have a bunch of teams on here. So here we are. Just fast forward to where we're at. So setting up 4 cones like we see here. Okay. And then each of these players are going to come up, practice one cut, shuffle over, practice another cut, shuffle over, practice another cut, shuffle over, practice another cut. The reason why I like this one is I think you guys can do this on your own. Pre-snap, look at this guy in the red, down. Okay, notice his head is over his feet. Okay, super important when we're making cuts. One thing I don't like about this guy in the red is how much his level changes. Okay, so when we're running, we're going to be about here to about here, okay? So imagine when you're running a route that you've got about half a foot above your head, half a foot below your head to make your cuts. That's it. If you go any more than that, you're going to hit your head in the tunnel, okay? So imagine this tunnel. This guy is going really low and really high, but his head's over his toes. Look at this kid in the white. He's going to do this a little bit better, planting a little bit better. Okay, like I said, this simulates the hardest part of the drills that we do, the hardest part of a cut, right? So planting your foot, getting your position ready. So head over toes, try to keep your level not changing too much. This guy in the black hoodie is doing it a little bit too much for my liking, but it's the clip I was able to find. So moving along to our next one. Okay, I'll go back to the PowerPoint here. So, and this is just fast hands, okay? So this is simulating getting off a jam, but instead of the one where we had people running towards the defender with fast feet, we're just gonna stand in front of each other. So the players are gonna stand about a yard apart. We're gonna simulate running while the partner throws hands at you, and you get off his hands as fast as you can, okay? You don't want his hands to tie you up. You don't want him to touch you at all. Otherwise, he's gonna win the rep. So let's have a look at that on tape. This is one that you could actually do pre-practice as well if you'd like. Doesn't take a lot. There's no real secret to it. So we're just firing hands. The player's going to throw them, and you're going to just react, okay? The whole point of this really is to get muscle memory. So when hands get on you, you get them off you as fast as you can, okay? So again, this could be pre-practice, or you could do this during practice time. I just like getting those hands off you and going from there. You could do it a little bit different where you're swatting away the hands. Either way, get used to that when you're in press coverage. As soon as you see hands, they get off you. As soon as they fire, swipe them away. I prefer my receivers when this hand's here. I like to take this hand and slap that elbow as hard as I can. The elbow is a relatively weak joint from behind. You hit that as hard as you can, whether you hit it with your wrists, make a fist, smack it away as hard as you can. If you do that over and over and over again in a game, that guy is not going to want to jam up against you. He's going to avoid it, right? And the whole point of this is a game of attrition, right? It's like blocking. It's like hitting. The first hit, the first block might not break the guy down, but after 10 or 12 of them, he doesn't want any part of you. That's the same with this. If we're looking at a team that likes press coverage, the more aggressive we are with these kind of drills, the better they are. So what I'd like is you to develop that muscle memory, getting ready to fight whenever you're in close, and when hands are on you, get them off you as fast as you can. Our last drill is going to be a 5-cone tempo and speed drill. So we've done a 4-cone drill, and I showed you that. I really didn't like the clip I found on it, but I found a better one, but it's a 5-cone drill. It didn't have 4 cones. So you cut around each cone, going through the middle, start at 50%, coach finishes with a football. It'll make more sense when I actually show you what it looks like. We'll just finish this up here. Let's go full screen for the next one. Okay, so we're going to go slowly into our cut, plant our foot, rip our elbow, really explode out, cross through the middle, plant, rip, right? Plant, rip. What I really like about this video, as this player's coming in, his head is over his toes, he's in control of his cut, coming around and exploding out, right? The whole point of this body position is to be able to make a dramatic cut right away, to get some speed going into your cut, right? He plants and rips. Now, at the end of this, coaches, I don't like that we just stop the drill. I would have a quarterback standing somewhere off screen here, and as soon as he hits that last cone, throw a football at his head. Right? Take advantage of your 15 minutes. Make sure your receivers are catching as many footballs as you can to create that muscle memory. I've said it on this call a couple of times before, and I think repetition is a beautiful part of football. You can go through your whole practice without catching a football. Your quarterback could never look at you. You could have the best DB on your team playing up against you that game. You might go the next hour and a half without getting a football thrown at you. You could go through all Skelly, all insert, all Indy, all team time, all big 12-on-12 without getting a football. So coaches, I implore you, if you're a receivers coach out there, make sure somebody's catching a football during that 15-minute period the whole time. Okay, so normally I start off going 50%, and then we'll kick it up a little bit more to a speed drill, right, where I'll show you full speed. This player's going to blast through it. And when I say full speed, I don't mean as fast as a player can go. And kids, or players, when I'm telling you that, what I mean is it's as fast as you can go while doing the drill properly, right? We never, ever, ever want to sacrifice technique for speed, because the technique is what's going to get us the speed, right? So when we say 100%, it's not as fast as you can go. It's as fast as you can go while doing the drill properly. Does that make sense? Perfect. Now, let's try a little experiment here. I'm excited about this to see how this works out, because I am going to call on different players here. And I'm going to get you to analyze the play and answer some questions as we go along. So I hope all your microphones are working. I think it's going to be no surprise that I'm going to pick on Adam Mosher first. So Adam, can you turn on your microphone for me?
Yeah.
Perfect. Lucky man. This is the best part about
Sure
having
is.
players on my team that I can just kind of go to first. So what I'm going to ask you here, I'm going to run the tape in slow motion, and I want you to tell me your thoughts on what type of coverage this is pre-snap. Whether it's man or zone, what type of man, that kind of thing, based on your pre-snap look, and then tell me why. Okay, so we're going
Okay.
to break the huddle, and then just walk me through what you see here. You can tell me to stop whenever you'd like to.
Stop there.
Okay.
I see the close corner looking at his receiver, but I see the half, the close one, looking right at the quarterback. So I'd go probably cover 3 cloud off of this.
Okay. And now we're going to send a motion, right? So the motion guy is going to tell us something. What's he telling us?
That it's zone.
Definitely zone. Okay. So if you say this is cloud coverage or what other people sometimes call cut coverage, so you're going to hear it both, can you tell me what the corner's responsibilities are, please?
The corner has the flats and the half has the deep third.
Perfect. Hey, everybody give it up for Adam. That's excellent. So let's run the play.
Yeah.
It's exactly it. We've got cut coverage, right? So again, the pre-snap look that Adam was talking about, we had the low corner and press. His eyes are straight on the player, but the real tell here is the different levels too, right? So right here. If they were all on the same level, we could look at a cover 1 kind of situation. But in this case right here, your pre-snap read is 100% right. It's cover 3 cloud. Thank you, Adam. I'm gonna put you on mute, and I'll run that play. And of course, we can see that we put the flat player in some trouble. He has a bad choice to make, and we can go from there. So next up, let's see, who am I going to pick on? Ben Klassen, could you unmute your microphone, please?
Yeah.
How you doing, Ben?
I'm good. How are you?
I can't complain at all. Are you ready to get on the hot seat here?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to run this play. Again, the same questions. I want you to tell me what you think this coverage is pre-snap. Is it man or zone? What type of zone? What are the responsibilities? And go from there. So I'm going to run this clip in slow motion, and you tell me when to stop so you can talk, okay?
Okay.
All right, I'm going to stop it here. Tell me what you think.
It looks like man, but the way the DBs are lined up makes it look kind of like zone.
So you're talking this action right here, that kind of different
Yeah.
look? Okay, what makes you think it's man? And again, we're going to be right and wrong, so it's not a big deal here, but what makes you think it's man here?
The half coming out to the slot.
Okay, so we have one corner, one half. Okay, and one thing that for me makes me think man is this helmet is looking straight at this guy, this helmet is looking straight at this guy.
Yeah.
What would make you think it's zone other than the wave? We have 3 receivers out. How many guys are covering them?
2.
So when we're looking on a pre-snap read, it's not 100% tell because this linebacker might bump out and cover that inside slot. But if we have a situation where we have 3 receivers and only 2 guys covering them, to me that's a tell, of cover 3, right?
Yeah.
So let's roll this a little bit further on. And let's see, tell me when you know the coverage for sure.
Cover 3.
Yeah. Why do you say that?
Because the corner dropped off as soon as the ball was snapped.
Yeah. So the Mavericks are a well-coached team. Their head coach is a former defensive back for the CFL, and he's been doing this a long time. So he really teaches his corners to not give those tells as well. But the big tell right here, as Ben said, is when he starts to bail out here, right? So who has the deep thirds of the field, Ben?
The two corners and the safety.
Perfect. And who covers the flats?
The halfbacks.
Awesome. Excellent. Okay, we're 2 for 2. Thanks, Ben. So you can go ahead and mute yourself here. We're going to move on to play number 3. And I'm going to see, let's see here. Hayden, does your microphone work?
Yeah.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so we're going to ask you the same questions. We've got 3 more coverage questions, and then I've got some passing tree questions for everybody. But so in this case, I'm going to roll it really slow. I want you to tell me when you know the coverage and what you pre-snap, why you think it is what it is. Okay?
Okay. Okay, stop.
Okay, what do you got?
It looks like man,
Okay, why do you say man?
because the halfback is staring at his man. And
Excellent. So, sorry, halfback right here is staring
yeah, the
right
inside
here.
halfback.
Okay, what else?
The corner looks like he's looking at his man.
Yep. Okay. And then if we run this motion a little bit more, is there any more tells that you can get from that?
Now it's starting to look like zone because when they motioned, no one followed, and now the corner is looking inside to the quarterback.
Yeah, he kind of gives us a zone look. But one thing I want you to look at is this linebacker right here, okay? So what does he do when we send motion over?
He bumps out.
He bumps out. So we have 3 guys covering 3 now, right? So pre-snap here, I would be okay as a quarterback not 100% knowing, so I need more information now, right? One thing I'd look for, Hayden, is we have one high player covering the middle of the field too. So that to me is another pre-snap read. So let's roll the play and and I'll get you to tell me when you know the coverage for sure.
It looks like man.
Man coverage. Good
Yeah.
call. Okay. Now, again, when we talk about coverages and when we ask our quarterbacks to make pre-snap reads, what a pre-snap read is a guess. Okay? You're going to have defenses who do great jobs of disguising it, or you're going to have defenses like I know some of you play in the city and you're going to play against Notre Dame. If Notre Dame isn't running cover 3 most of the time and telling you they're running cover 3 most of the time, then they've probably changed head coaches. So they're a team that commits to it. They show you what they're doing. They do it well. They're not trying to hide it. There's other teams that are going to switch coverage up. So in this case, it's not that traditional man coverage where we run a guy over, but because that linebacker bounces out, because there's one deep player, and because nobody seems to be so concerned about the deep third from the corner positions, I would say that's man coverage. Okay, thanks, Hayden. You can go ahead and mute yourself. And of course, what would a day be without me making the shyest quarterback I know talk? Danny Skelton, does your microphone work?
What do you mean the shyest quarterback?
One of my biggest accomplishments was getting you to talk. Okay, so same thing here. I'm going to get you to tell me the coverage. I'm going to run the play in slow motion. Tell me when to stop when you know it, okay?
Okay. All right, stop it there.
Okay.
Right now, I see one high safety, and then I see sort of man up by the DB on the short side. His contour is he's staring at his receiver. On the far side, it's the same thing, and they're kind of lined up with their guy. So
you're thinking, man, let's see if the motion changes your mind at all or if it confirms it.
So now I see the safety bump down. So it looks like 3-on-3 now. So it still looks like man, and that half moves out to safety. So now I definitely think it's man because there's 3 guys on 3 on the far side and still 1 high safety. So it looks like a cover 1 to me.
Yeah, you've got it. And this is the same coverage that the blue team in the previous slide was looking at. It's just done differently, right? So we still have 3 guys covering 3. We still have 1 deep. We're just rolling the safety back. So if you're a quarterback right here, who would you be looking at as kind of our weaker cover guy here?
Oh, still on me? I'd probably say I'd say the middle defender on the far side because the safety is in the middle and that half is a bit down. So if you have that slot kind of filling that, actually it backed up, so I'd probably say the far side corner or the near side corner.
So quarterbacks, I'd like you to take a peek at the player playing out of position, right? So a lot of times safeties are extremely good at covering side to side and back, but I find when they get down in man coverage situations, they tend to be a little bit out of position. It's not a guarantee, but when I see a linebacker covering a slot or a safety rolling down to cover slot, put a pin in that as a QB because they don't do it as often, right? So they may not be as good at covering man coverage as a corner or a halfback. So just some thought there, Danny. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
You can go ahead and mute yourself. Okay, we're on to play 5, and I'm going to get Brody to hop on the call here. How you doing, Brody?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Did you expect to be talking on the call today?
Not really.
Good. Well, I'm trying to keep it fresh and trying to get everybody involved. So, okay, so we're going to run the same thing. I'm going to get you to tell me to stop when you know the coverage, and we can go from there, okay?
All right. Stop it there.
Okay.
Right now I'd guess probably right now I'm thinking man, but with
Okay.
2 deep safety, so like a cover 2.
Okay, yeah. You're right with the
Right
cover
now-
2.
Yeah.
For sure. We've got two high safeties. We have 2 low players.
Yeah.
Now,
Pre-snap there's a bit of a contour for the DBs and linebackers.
yeah, you got it. So again, this can be a bit of a different look. It could be a man coverage look with 2 high safeties just playing half the field, or it could be a straight zone where this guy has the flats and these guys are responsible for the deep 2. But you got it. Good job.
Great.
Now, again, we're not going to see cover 2 too often, but when you see it, just identify it that way. Okay, you can go ahead and mute yourself. And we're going to move into the passing tree because I know I've got receivers on the call. And let's start with Parker Ney. Parker, if you could unmute yourself.
Yeah.
You knew this was coming, Parker. Okay, so we're looking at running a 1 versus zone coverage. So this is the player here that we're going to look at. He's going to run a 1. What are some things he needs to think about running against zone coverage?
Find the pocket where there's nobody sitting.
So expand on that. So I like to call those windows. So finding that window. So what does that mean?
Yeah. So when you find the window or like a space where you can see the quarterback, you kind of just sit down.
Okay. So when you say sit down, you're not talking about running in as fast as you can here or coming in too fast. Why don't you want to come in that fast?
There's linebackers.
Linebacker's going to mess you up. Also, you're running into coverage, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else we need to know about that one?
Not really.
Okay. The one thing I would add is when we have plays, so in this case, we're really running a 2-on-1 concept with this halfback, the flat player. If the flat player decides to pick you up, don't stand still, right? That's the only other thing. Keep moving. All right, Parker, you want to try a 2 as well?
I guess so.
Perfect. Just make sure this is the right play. This is a 2 versus zone. No, it's not. Just 1 sec.
What?
Let me make sure I've got the right clip here. I might have set you up.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a 2.
Okay, let me just make sure I have this organized the right way.
I was also wondering why you're running a 2 trips side to the weak side.
Yeah, he got it. Let me here. 2 versus cover 3. This is going to be a huddle clip, so I can't slow it down for you, but I'm just going to pull it over because for some reason, every now and then when I do my uploads to huddle, they get a little off. No, that's not a 2 either. I might have just had the wrong play completely.
Ah,
Give me 1 sec. Technical difficulty. 2, 3. Sorry, you're gonna actually talk about a 3 now. Okay, sorry.
oh,
Now I
okay.
figured out where I made my mistake. Let me just find the huddle again. We'll go from there. That's what we get when we try new things. Okay, so this is a 3 versus zone. So what should we know about 3s in zone coverage here? Parker?
Well, it's kind of the same as a slant, but not quite. Like running 3, you don't want to stop in the middle. There's linebackers there. You kind of just want to pop out the other side.
So when we're talking a 3 here, Parker, once we clear that hook to curl zone,
Yeah.
that's the pocket, right? So again, just like you were talking about with the slants, we don't want to, if we're uncovered and we find a place where we can kind of sit for a sec, motor down, get friendly to the quarterback, and show your hands.
Yeah.
Right? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, Parker, you're off the hot seat.
All right.
Let's pick on. Let's see what Peyton Bonnet can do here. Peyton, you want to unmute yourself here? How you doing, Peyton?
Good. I'm doing good.
That's good. Okay, so this play number 8, we're going to be looking at a 7 versus zone. So what are some things we want to know when we're running 7? So the 2 7s against zone will be right here.
All right. So when you're running a 7, when you get to the plant point, you really want to explode out.
Okay.
When you get out of your zone, you might want to stick it on the top, make a move right, and then go left, and then make a move. Like you don't want to go up. You want to go upfield, but you kind of want to be that quarterback friendly zone in that area. So if you have a zone, maybe slow down a little, run, keep in that window so the QB can see you, and yeah.
Okay, you're 100% right. One thing I want you to think about too is if we're running a 7 or an 8 or a 9 into cover 3 or to cover 3 cloud, you want to take 2 defenders with you. So what do I mean by 2 defenders, Peyton?
What you mean by take 2 is if if you're running it out like an 8,
Mhm.
you want to make it look, and then so you want to make it look like you're getting the ball. So 2 defenders go on you, and you want to take them as far downfield as you will, so you get those other guys open on the flats.
So I'll help you out here, but I'll show you an 8 here too, okay? So this is what Peyton's talking about by taking 2, okay? So if we just run this route the way we're supposed to, the way it's drawn up in our playbook, right? We're going to run right into this corner who's dropping back, right? So that doesn't help our quarterback. That helps us get covered. There's no win there, and it frees up the safety to not necessarily have to be so deep. So what Peyton's talking about by taking 2 is if you watch the third receiver, he's now splitting the difference between the 2 high defenders. I would have liked him to be a little bit more out here. But if we can split those 2 high defenders, we have now taken this guy deep and we've taken this guy deep. And because we're working a 2-on-1 concept down here, the halfback can't make a decision that's correct. But let's say we run this 7-2 skinny and we only take the safety. This corner might be able to come down and help out. Or if we run this 8 and this guy comes upfield, now the safety might be able to help out. But we can basically buy 2 defenders by splitting the difference. Does that make sense? Now, the other thing about taking 2 when we're running 8s and 7s against zone coverage is what happens if the corner and the safety don't do anything and you split the difference? You now have a free go route, right? You actually might be able to score on a deep route against cover 3, which on paper shouldn't happen. Okay, thanks, Peyton. You can mute yourself again. I appreciate you taking a risk there.
Yeah, no.
Okay, moving on. We've got some man coverage looks. So let's see. Who haven't I picked on here? I'm going to go with one of my younger guys. So I'm going to help you out here too, Marshall, if you need to. So, Marshall, if you could unmute yourself.
Hello.
Now, the reason why I'm picking Marshall is because I watched a bit of the NFL draft with him, and Marshall, for a Pee Wee player, knows absolutely everything about every player that was drafted the whole time. So I'm guessing that he's going to be able to help me out here and tell me how to run it too. So this route here, the route we're looking at is going to be this player. So first of all, Marshall, what kind of route is it to?
It is a 5-yard out.
5-yard out? Okay, and what are some things we should know about running it against man coverage?
You should know to always, look at the corner, and then if you, make a move to make it look like you're going the other way, or he'll just follow you, and then you're kind of, you won't – separation. You have to really separate from the corner.
So, or the defender that's covering you mean, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you're talking right there. So give a guy a little bit of a shake and bake, make a move. Now, a question for you. Would you want to sit in a window against man coverage, or would you want to run away from a defender? What would you think would be the best way to beat a guy in man coverage?
Run.
Run away.
Run away.
Exactly. So you're not going to stop running here, right?
Nope.
And I'm not sure it's covered at Pee Wee yet, and I know you're going to be a Dickinson kid soon enough. But one thing that Tristan does really well on this tape right here, nice friendly finish, right? So what's a friendly finish? Do you know what I'm talking about?
When he tucks the ball and looks at it.
That's eyes to tuck, yep. What I'm meaning with a friendly finish here is instead of leaking downfield, notice that Tristan's going to shave about half a yard off this, okay? The reason why that's important when we're running routes against man coverage is this player is chasing. If we leak upfield, his angle is easier, right? But if we finish just downfield, he now has to keep chasing that whole time, right?
Yep.
So when you get to Pee Wee this year, you're last year at Pee Wee, correct?
First year. I played Adam this year.
You played Adam and you're this smart. Okay, that's good. So I want you to tell all the kids in Pee Wee when we're running out-breaking routes to finish about half a yard down to make sure we're finishing friendly. Excellent job. Thanks, Marshall. You can go ahead and mute yourself. Okay, I am going to pick on, let's see, we've got about 9 more minutes. Let me skip ahead here. Okay. Let's see here. Mateus, do you want to give it a try here?
Sure.
Perfect. Okay, we're going to give you a very similar route, okay? So we talked about a 2, which is an outbreaking 5-yard route. So now we're going to talk about a 3 or a dig route against man coverage. So what's a 3? Do you remember?
Is it 5 yards in?
It's a little bit deeper than 5, so we're going to take it to 14 yards.
Okay.
So the player I'm going to get you to watch here is the third player here, so the one I just put a dot on.
Yep.
Okay. So, and we're running this against man coverage. So similar question that I asked Marshall, do you want to sit in a hole or do you want to run away from your defender in man coverage?
You want to run away.
Yeah, right? Because he's chasing you individually, right? In zone coverage, people are trying to fill those pockets. So you're trying to find those spots in between them. In man coverage, you really want to run away from that player. Okay, so I'm going to run this a little bit. Let me know what you think of this player and how he did here. What do you think of that route? I know it's not going to him, but how would you say he did on that route?
He did pretty good. The cut was good.
Pretty good. Did he have a good friendly finish there?
Not really.
Not really. It could have been a little bit better, eh?
Yeah, it could have been a little bit better.
So this is a really good example of why that's important. This player's coming downhill, right? So if Tristan leaks up a little bit here, we're going to meet that player about 1.5 yards more. If we finish down this line, we still have that player having to drive all the way through, right?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, my young kids are really coming to play today. That's great. Okay, I'm going to get you to pause yourself there or mute yourself there. I'm going to go one more here, and then I'm going to pick on some quarterbacks again. Play number. No, this isn't the route I wanted. That's what I thought. Okay, I'm actually just going to jump to the quarterbacks here. Let's get Rami if you want to unmute yourself here.
Sir, did you say Rami?
Yeah, Rami, how you doing? Good, good. You ready to walk us through a couple of plays here? I'm going to pick on you for 2 here.
Yeah.
So we're talking about 8s now against man coverage. So as a quarterback, do you like an 8 into man coverage?
Yes.
Why do you like that? You're 100% right. So give me a little bit more. Why do you like that? That'd be this route here.
Because in zone coverage, they're kind of like waiting. And if you run a long route and zone coverage, it would be better to run like a short route, like a 5 or 6 in zone coverage. But in man coverage, they're close, so it's a good opportunity for it to be one-on-one and also for the receiver to try to outrun the DB.
So what's a good rule of thumb for throwing a corner or an 8 route? What's the number one rule that's been drilled into you here?
You want to make sure it's on the side. It's one-on-one. You want to fade it out. Make sure there's space with the sideline.
So I'm going to help you out a little bit. You're going to remember this and you're going to kick yourself. It's see the corner to throw the corner, right?
Oh, yeah.
So on this play, if we're looking at this corner, what do you see?
I'm seeing that he's looking at the wideout and he's not very deep.
There you go, right? So if you saw this corner backing deep up, you know the corner isn't there unless we do a good job splitting the 2 defenders, right?
Yeah.
So what's another important rule for the receiver running this 8? What tips do you have for him?
Don't run it too sharp. Kind of run it.
You're right with the sharp. What do you mean by sharp? You mean like
Like
this?
run it skinnier.
Okay. Why do you want to run it skinnier?
Because you want to have time. You don't want them to run into the sideline. Also, you don't want them to go into where the corner and the receiver is.
Perfect. The other thing I like about running it a little bit skinnier and then breaking it out late is it gives your quarterback the ability to throw you open, right? So if you watch this play here, as Owen's running this route, okay, as he comes out of this, if he came out of this right here, Duncan now has to throw that ball in a 5-yard box, right? But if you give your quarterback some room, he can now throw you away from the defender, right? So you don't want to go on that concept that I talked about, that quarterback's lawn here. So from the numbers to the sideline, for the most part, you don't want to go there until the quarterback throws you there, right? So you're right about not running it too sharply and getting into that area too soon. So, okay. Thanks, Remy. I'll get you to mute yourself there. And let's see here. Parker really wants me to pick on Peter. And that's okay, because Peter, I have one for you. Okay, we're going to talk about zone reads. Okay, so if this is a 32 zone read, so Peter, you unmuted there?
Yep.
Perfect. So if we're running 32 zone read, so who are we optioning?
I do not know.
Okay, now to give some people on the line color, Peter and Tristan are linemen, so they don't have the same same quarterback knowledge that everybody does. But Peter, we're going to be looking.
It's going beside me.
It's going beside you, yeah, 32, and we've got zone steps here. This player right here is the backside end. We're not going to block him. We're going to block downfield, and we're going to leave this end to come upfield. Okay. So on this play, the quarterback has a choice on whether he's going to pull the ball and run with it or throw it, or he's going to give it to the receiver. The way he's going to make that decision, Peter, is if this lineman comes down the line or if he gets contained, right? So I'm going to watch this. I'm going to let you tell me whether he should have pulled it or whether he should have given it, okay? So we're watching this player here. And we're watching for him to either come up and get contained, which means we can't get around him, or he's going to crash down the line, giving us a free lane. So tell me what you think here. So right here, do you think we should hand off, or do you think we should pull?
The pull.
Why do you think that?
Because he goes up the side.
So you're saying that because this player's hips are turned and he's coming up the side?
Yeah.
We could have had a really big play there, right? Danny takes the safe route. That's okay. There's a rule that I give quarterbacks that if you don't know what that D end is doing, if he hasn't given you a good enough tell, if you're not 100%, always hand the ball off, because handing the ball off to a running back is never a bad idea. Pulling the ball to a D end that actually has contained usually ends poorly, right? So, okay, Peter, you're off the hook there.
Yeah.
Let me see. I have hit all the quarterbacks, so I'm going to go back with Hayden. So, Hayden, you want to unmute yourself? You got the next one. This is another zone read, and I'm going to get you to tell me whether you think you should pull or whether you should give. So okay. We're doing it to the same side, same D end. There's no trick here. Just read the guy. Tell me when to stop. Actually, I'll stop it right at the point of where we're going here, okay?
Okay, wide side D end.
Wide side D end. So we're reading this player. What kind of front is this?
4.
4 front, right? And we can tell because there's 4 down linemen, 3 linebackers, right?
Yep.
So we're going to start the play here. Now I'm going to pause it right here. So what would you do? Would you give or would you pull?
I'd pull.
Why?
Because the D end's hips are toward the running back. And he's crashing down.
Excellent. So when we see a D end's hips turned in, right? That's a sure sign that he is healing, right? Even if he's in the right position and his hips are turned, we know he's coming down the line, right? So that gives us a real big play potential, right? And we don't always have to throw the ball. Sometimes our quarterbacks can get some wheels and make a play here. Danny does a good job getting downfield. I think that's the one time Danny read the D end right, but Wyatt was having a day, so that's okay. He was doing a good job on the ground. But yeah, Hayden, you got it. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, last clip that we have. Danny, you're up again. So I'll get Danny to unmute himself here.
Right.
I believe this is you anyway. Actually, no, I think we're done our clips. I might have screwed that up. You might be off the hook, Danny. Let me see here. Yep, that's the last one I have. So you're off the hook. You can mute yourself, and we can go from there.
Oh, well, that was quick.
That was anticlimactic, wasn't it?
A little bit.
So this is a bit of a new format here. I've gone over a lot of concepts. I want to switch between talking about concepts I like, talking about how I want you to run routes, how I want you to execute plays, but I also want to start getting some knowledge feedback from you guys too, right? To make sure that what I'm saying is actually landing and that you're actually comprehending what I'm talking about, so I can switch up my coaching style to make sure I'm hitting the players I need to hit and making sure that you guys are getting everything out of this. So I really appreciate you guys playing with the new format today. We'll be back to the old format on Thursday. I'm going to break down the receiver position a little bit more. So sorry, linemen. I'm still trying to get a good lineman coach in here to help you guys out. It'll happen. It's just a matter of time. But on Thursday's call, I really want to talk about some of my philosophies about how to play receiver, and less about the actual routes and more about the mindset of how to play that position. For you quarterbacks, it's super important that you understand that too. There's not many quarterbacks in Canada that are playing quarterback in university and at the next level. A lot of you guys are athletes and you're going to make the switch to playing receiver. So make sure you know this stuff too. I really appreciate the time you spent with me today, and I'm really happy that you guys played along and were able to participate. So thank you very much. We'll be back Thursday, and we can go from there.